Know if I've met everybody on the call. My name is Polly Boardman, and I'm the National Geospatial Practice Lead for Michael Baker International. I'm out of Reno. My team that's on here today, I have Jonathan Perez. He's managing this project, which is an upgrade of the flood hazard viewer. And then I have Alex Wasco on. She's our lead developer, and she'll be demoing the application today. And then we have Ali Gokbadak, another one of our developers, on today. So we're really excited to show you this. I know several of you were involved with the original deployment of the web app builder that we had at the time for the flood hazard viewer. And a lot of this is carried over from what you wanted into that application. The reason we had this change, we built it in web app builder maybe about 5 years ago. And at the time, that's where the customizations could be done for the application that we're asked for. And then since then, Esri, who's the software giant that owns all the software for the GIS programming, they have since wanted everybody to move over to this thing called Experience Builder. And it's very similar to Web App Builder, but it has a few different widgets and a little bit different of a framework. So we've upgraded the application into Experience Builder, and we've also moved the application over to CWSD's Esri ArcGIS Online account for them to host and manage how they would like. So it should be a lot easier for management and involvement from everybody on the phone. So what I want to do today is pass it over to Alex. She's going to demo quickly the application. We also have a user guide, and she's currently updating the videos in it. I think before, if you guys had used the user guide, it had little snippets of videos for quick reference and things. So she'll be updating all of those. In the meeting invite, I've added the link for the new application. This is not the live one yet that's on the website, although obviously it's live because you guys can all access it, but it does have the updated user guide so far, and then also the new link that you can use to do the testing and send us any feedback. So what we would like to do is kind of go through some of the different widgets in the application. Alex is going to run through a scenario with you as well. And then any feedback you have on the call currently today, you can either put it in the chat, you can raise your hand, or just speak up. Feel free to jump in anytime that Alex is going through the application. And then we'll give you, I would like to aim for December 19th as a cutoff for getting feedback from all of you for the application so that we can have something ready to go in January. I know Debbie would like to kind of show this on the next Watershed Forum meeting in January. So if you did need a little bit longer than that, just let me know. But we'll aim for that for right now. That's a couple weeks out. So anyway, I would like to pass it over to Alex, and she'll get going on this. And again, please feel free to put in your feedback or ask any questions as she goes along.
Thanks, Polly. Just in the interest of internet bandwidth, I'm going to turn my camera off. You all are welcome to keep yours on. I'm just going to turn mine off. All right. I'm also going to share my screen. I'm going to grab another screen over here. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. I'm going to put this link in the chat. As Polly said, this is, you can all view this right now. It's not the final version of it, but I'll put this in the chat for you all. You can, if you would like to follow along, you can, or if not, it's just there for you for later. You can save it for later. Okay. And also, as Polly said, we're going to be reviewing a couple of different things with the application, and I just wanted to say, I'm going to do a quick introduction of the application and a couple of resources. But I know for some of you, it's a reintroduction, just with some new features and new application skin and everything. So
are you talking about his?
Here
we have a hot mic.
I'm just looking for it. I'm gonna just.
I muted him. We're good to go.
Thanks. Alrighty. So, yeah, quick introduction for the application itself. I sent you the link in the chat if you want to follow along or for later. Whenever we first come to our application, a splash screen pops up and we just have to acknowledge it to, the terms and conditions of just like the limitations of the data. But there are a couple of things in the splash screen that are important to note. There is the user guide link here, and we'll take a look at this here in a minute. There's also a link to FEMA's Map Service Center. A lot of our reference data is publicly available, and so we consume that and bring it into the application. So this is one of the sources you can use to look into some of those reference layers and related reference layers. There's also contact county information here. If you click any one of these hyperlink counties, it'll open up a new message, and you can type a message out, and then it'll send it to that county contact. All of this information is also available in our About widget, which we'll take a look at later. So now I will switch over to this other screen. Quick note too, I mentioned about the splash screen and this information's in the About widget. When you acknowledge the splash screen, it will remember that for a while. I'm not sure what it is that resets it. It might be maybe restarting your machine, but there is something that resets the browser so that it'll show that splash screen again. But that's the important note there for this information being somewhere else that you can get to, since this will go away once you acknowledge it. Okay. I mentioned the user guide. I wanted to take a quick look at this with you all. And also before we get into the user guide part of this too, I do want to give just another, along with this sort of introduction and reintroduction to those that have seen the original application, I do just want to kind of back up a step and just remind everyone what this application is about, what it's for, just in case anyone needs the reminder or is fresh to this. This application that we're going to be reviewing together is for county staff, developers, researchers, scientists, and the general public, anyone that's located in the Carson Water Subconservancy District. The application includes flood hazard related study data for 23 areas in the district, as well as reference data and tools to assist with flood hazard review and understanding. And the why behind it, why it was built, was to be a one-stop shop for flood hazard review in the district versus having to go to many different people and applications to grab the necessary information. And another thing to note about this user guide is that the way we're going to talk about things, the way our talk's organized, is structured very similar to how the user guide is structured. And we're going to kind of move through the application items according to this graphic here, and you can access this in the intro section of the user guide. Every item, every functionality item in the map area is numbered, and then every widget area item is also lettered here. And then if you scroll down beneath this user interface graphic, there's brief descriptions of all the functionality that are numbered or lettered. And then you can also click on each of these sections, the bold names for them, and it'll jump to that section in the user guide. So it's just a nice little way to get everywhere that you want to go in the application, or in the user guide rather. And then of course you can navigate through the user guide with the top navigation bar as well. So like I said, this graphic here sort of is how our talk is organized. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the map area functions. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the map area functions. Some of you have already seen the original application. Those of you that haven't, I know a lot of people have worked with like web maps at this point. So, but if there's any questions or any feedback as I'm going at all throughout the entire demo, please don't hesitate to jump in. But yeah, I'm assuming a little bit that you all have a little bit of experience at least with web maps. But stop me if you need me to go into a little bit more detail on something. All right, so with that, we're going to actually dive into the application. Here in our map area, there's different ways that we can navigate here. We can use our mouse wheel to scroll in. We can hold our left clicker on our mouse to pan around the map. We have some other navigation tools available in the upper left-hand corner of the application too. Buttons to zoom in and out as well. We can go back and forth through our extents that we might have gone through in the application. There's also this home button here that takes us to our initial extent of the application, and also a find my location function. I won't click this because I'm located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so this will take us a little far away. But for you all, this could be helpful if you're just trying to get to somewhere that you're located in your county. Another aspect of our map area functionality is the search tool here. I'm not going to get into this just yet. I'm going to wait until we go through the scenario a little bit later. But basically how this works is we can search by address or by parcel number of any of the counties, the 6 counties that are in the district. But we'll take a look at that again, like I said, in a little bit. We have our map scale at the bottom left of the map. This is dynamic and changes as we zoom in and out. We have an attribute table with some information available regarding our study areas. So we can take a look at the tabular form of the data. Just a side note, these two, the table data for Flow2D and HEC-RAS, these are non-spatial tables, meaning that they don't have any kind of map, polygon feature, vector feature associated with them. They're related to our study area boundaries. So that's relevant because with our study area boundaries attribute table records, we're able to click on a record and it'll actually select it and zoom to that record in the map. But you will not be able to do that same thing with the related tables. So that's, wanted to note that real quick. You can also get to any attachments that are related to our studies in the attribute table. There's other ways to access the attachments as well. We'll go over that. But all of our studies have, some of them have reports associated with them. And those are attached and available for download just by clicking them. Of course, we have other layers as well that we're going to look at whenever we add a study into the map. But that's a high-level look at the attribute table. Go back to the attribute table real quick. Clear our selection. Okay. And then the final item to review in our map area is our overview map. There's a little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner that we can click to expand this inset map. And this can be really helpful if you're like really zoomed in there and you're looking at some single property and you just need a little bit of help with a reference of like, okay, where am I in the area? So that can be helpful for that purpose. All right, I'm going to jump into the widgets next. So before I do that, I just want to pause for a second and see if anyone has any questions, comments, feedback, concerns. All right, great. Okay, so let's move into our widgets next. Our first widget that we'll review is the legend widget, which is pretty straightforward. We can click our icon here to open it up, and we'll be able to see any layer that is visible in our map extent. Right now, we don't have a ton of layers on or that we can see in the legend because there aren't a lot of layers that are actually visible at this scale. We'll have other layers that are scale dependent, so as we zoom in, they will become visible, and then our legend dynamically updates to accommodate that. So now we can see we've got NHD plus flow lines and water bodies now showing up because we're zoomed in. We can see parcels now in our legend. So that's how our legend works. So we'll take a look at the map layers widget. This is where you can toggle layers on and off. You can explore what layers we have here for you to review. Our study area data gets added into the map, and then we're able to look at that data a little bit more closely here in our map layers widget. I want to highlight a couple of things here. So we've got some group layers. Of course, I've mentioned a few times reference layers. There's a lot of different reference data here for you all to use if you need it for your work with reviewing the flood hazards. We have some options for, if you click the ellipsis button over here next to the layers, there are some options to work with that layer. Something of note, two things of note with this particular functionality is some of the layers have the ability to export them. Like I said, a lot of these layers are publicly available and we consume them in that way. So if that data source allows for that, then you will see the option to export that particular data set here. And then also the details here, if we click this, uh, there's a couple of publicly available data sets, so I think we may have had to have made a copy because they were too large. There is, I want to be able to give you a good example for this. So I think for this one, this should work. Yeah, so if you click the details, it will open in a new tab the source information for that particular layer. So this can be really helpful if you want to know more about that layer, or maybe you want to consume it for yourself in one of your own web maps. And then also in our map layers widget, we have some batch options available. We can turn all of the layers on, turn them all off, expand them all, collapse them. We also have the ability here to search for the available layers in the widget. Let's do an HD. If we search for that, we can quickly filter those particular layers, see if there's anything that has that, that starts with that, first of all, and then second of all, we get to just get directly to those layers and work with them if we need to or want to. And then a quick comment too about the tables. These are here just to remind you, let you know that this data is in the application. There are some other ways that are a little bit more intuitive and easy to work with for the Flow2D and HEC-RAS table data. And I'm going to show you those ways. This is again just sort of a reminder of like, hey, everyone, this is here. It's in the map. For our national wetland inventory, these wetland codes, I believe it was requested to add in the national wetland inventory data. So that's in here as well, just so that everyone's aware that it's available. I think that's everything for our map layers widget. Any questions, comments, feedback about anything with the map layers?
Is the national flood hazard layer on there?
Yes, flood hazard areas. Yep.
Oh, so that's the maybe that could change to a national flood hazard layer as opposed to, because then it will delineate it as regulatory versus non-regulatory.
Okay. That's great feedback. Okay. So national flood hazard areas, I think the levied areas, and there's maybe a couple other ones. So you're saying you'd probably prefer if they come from a public source, signify that, in the layer name as best we can, right? I mean, we do that for many of these, but like for levied areas and levee embankments, would that be something you'd want as well, just to know, hey, this is coming from this national source?
Debbie, you're muted. I can hear you in my office, but they can't
I
hear you
turned
online.
myself off, sorry. I just kind of think for the national flood hazard area, that would be good so that you understand it's different. For those of you who have levees or dams, would you like that to be called like the national, like the levied area? That's a Army Corps thing. It'd kind of be good, I think. What do you guys think? What would be more helpful for you?
Are there any official levies under FEMA's requirements in the watershed? You click on that, what does that levy show?
I wanted to see if there was another one. Yeah, I believe there are some features in the area, but as far as, what they're categorized as, I can't say for sure without doing some GIS analysis. Second here, see if we can turn some other things off. Take a look.
I know that there are some levies, but they're not official levies, so I don't know how they're defined. In
Yeah.
Douglas County, we had a whole bunch of levees that we had to identify, and most of them are roadways or ditches.
Here we have one, Carson Tahoe Regional Medical Center upstream levee.
Hmm.
So would these count for what you were saying? I think it was you that said that, right, Ed?
Yeah, I think they're probably identified maybe by the entity, but I don't think they're nothing official. Um,
There wasn't a lot of data, like attribute table data from these layers, from what I recall. It wasn't, or it was very unclear what each field meant. So yeah, yeah, I would agree that we can't maybe know, or yeah, or that it's not incredibly official.
I would just keep it generic.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we don't want to worry about renaming levy stuff. All right, great. If we come across any other layers that might benefit from a name change, we'll let you know. But I think that we've covered them all, really. I think everything else already has the proper naming for it. Thank you. Turn our layers back on that we would like to see. Okay. All right, we'll move on now to our select study widget, which is one of our customizations that we developed for this application specifically. What we can do with our select study widget is we are able to look through all of the different studies that are in the district. As we hover over each of them in our list here, they will highlight in red on the map. We're able to filter our list here, our different studies by county if we would like as well. It's a little bit smaller if you'd like that. We're able to clear that selection as well. Another way we're able to work with this particular widget is we can select a study from our list and it's going to add the data into our map. But another way to do that is also by clicking that study in the map when the widget is open. So then you've got some flexibility. So you can, click versus maybe have to figure out which one aligns to which boundary if you're having a hard time with that. So I'm going to go ahead and add in Eagle Valley just so we can take a look at how all of this works. So we select our study area, it gets added in. We get some information down here at the bottom of the widget, lets us know that the layers were loaded for that study, lets us know that we have to click on the map layer icon in the navigation bar to view the study layers in that widget. We can also see here too, we've got a remove study button. So if we want to remove the study that we've added in and select another one, we can do that by clicking this. Or if we don't want to bother with the button, you can just select a different study and it'll automatically remove the current one and add the next one. Let's take a look at the map layers real quick to take a look at the Eagle Valley layers. Whatever study you add in is going to be added in as a group layer to the top of the map layers widget. And then you'll be able to expand it and take a look at what is available for that study. So here we can see we've got max depth layers and max velocity layers for different modeled events. We can also maximize the layers symbology to see what that looks like. We can turn layers on and off, of course. And then this was a customization in the original application. It's still a customization in this one, but it's a little bit of a different mechanism, quality of life improvement. Now, if we would like to look at the raster cell values for any of our model layers, all we have to do is click anywhere on the map in that study area where the data lives, and we're able to see that study the layer name and the value for that particular raster cell at that click point. And we could see the same at that click point for the max velocity 25-year because those two layers are what are turned on currently. So we just use our arrows to go back and forth here. I'm realizing I didn't go over pop-ups with you all. I will do that here in a minute. So I think that covers everything though, as far as study, adding the study in. The layers come into our map layer widget, and we're able to turn things off and on and look at those raster cell values for all of our layers. Are there any questions, comments, feedback about the select study widget at this point?
When you opened the Eagle Valley, you had depth of 20 or the 25 years event. Is that just a default, or did you already click on it earlier? And is there 100 and the 10? Is that all available?
Yep, the 25-year. These are both a default whenever this study gets added in. So the 25-year for max depth, 25-year max velocity, those are just automatically turned on. However, you can turn that off, and you can turn on. You mentioned the 100-year, so we can turn on that particular model results raster for both of those for max depth, max velocity. We've got 10-year, 25-year, 50, 100, and 500-year for the Eagle Valley study.
Okay, so each one of those, you have actually data for each one of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any study that you add in, if you see a layer, so we'll have our group layer for the study, and then you'll expand that. There will be some other layers that you can expand as well for the different layer types, model types rather. Any layer you see is going to have data. If there was some data for that study that wasn't able to be used in the GIS, we weren't able to bring it in. So anything that we could bring in, we did bring in, and it's going to show here, and you're going to be able to take a look at it and click on the screen to see, click on the map to see the value at that click point. So just wanted to reiterate that. I do want to mention real quick, just as an example of the different types of data. So for Dayton Valley ADMP, Gold Canyon, it's organized a little bit differently. So whatever data that was available for the study, we bring that in and it's available for you all. But you can see here we've got 3 different events that were modeled, 25, 100, year, 6 hour. But then we've got a little bit of different layers available for this Gold Canyon, Dayton Valley ADMP, not just max depth and max velocity. There's Manning's End, depth and simulation and such. So whatever data was available for that study, it's going to get brought into the map whenever you select it from the select study widget. Anything else for this one? All right. Okay, so I'm going to back up real quick to talk about pop-ups a little bit. I got ahead of myself when we were talking about the map functions. So pop-ups are an important part of this application. And what those are is when you're in the map, if you click anywhere on the map, at that click point, whatever features are available there, if there's attribute information associated with those features, they will show in the pop-up. So right now we can see where I clicked, there is the North Carson area study area. And we're getting some information about that. We're also able to see the attachments for that particular study. And we can click that PDF, that attachment, and it'll download for us. There's no related data for this particular study, but I'll show you one that does have that. So that's what we have for the studies. There are some other nice things to see in our pop-ups here. We should be able to see it here. Some of the data we were able to manipulate the pop-up for it and show you some other data associated with that feature. So right now we're looking at a stream river and the NHD plus flow lines, and we're able to get some straight information from, I think, from the attribute table here. But then we're also able to incorporate and see some tables that are showing us monthly mean flow in cubic feet per second, and then one for monthly mean velocity in feet per second. So those are just some things that are available through the pop-ups, trying to make the data handy and available for you all. And then for parcels, that's another one that has some handy information available. I believe every county now, this wasn't the case in the last iteration of the application, but I believe every county now has a link to that county's assessor for that particular parcel. This was the case for Douglas County in the past, but I think all of the counties now have that functionality. So if we click this, it's going to open up our assessor site and show us more information on that particular parcel. So you can really dig into the data. Any questions about pop-ups? I'm also going to show you the related table records that I mentioned before. Okay, so here's a good example for Eagle Valley. This one has some Flow2D data that's related to it, and if it has that related, we're able to see in the pop-up, hey, here's some data we can click into, and then we can click again to take a look at what the Flow2D data is for the 100-year event, and then we're able to see the different values for the Flow2D data. And then we can just go back a step to our original pop-up. But that's a quick and easy way to take a look at the related Flow2D and HEC-RAS data for the studies. Okay. Next, we'll take a look at the draw widget. This can be really handy for marking things up on the map here, and then say you want to communicate something with someone else in your department, or someone else that requested some information about flood hazard data in a specific area. You can mark up the map here, and there's different options you can select here too. So I put a line in here, but you can do polygons. You can do just a basic point, and we can show our location measurement if we'd like, and say degrees, minutes, seconds. Draw circles. There's text options as well. So we can add this markup to the map. And one more note too about our some of our non-text options. We can show area perimeter and area measurements as well. Show you this so you can see. Yeah, so then you can use this draw widget, add in all of the markup you'd like, and then you can use the print widget to print a PDF, and it'll include your markup on the map. So that's one handy scenario for using this. It's actually an extra scenario. I wasn't planning on going over that one, but it really links the draw just so perfectly with the best use case for it. So yeah, so that's our draw widget. Not too much else to talk about for that one. You can erase everything using the draw widget tools.
So Alex, in the
Yeah.
chat, Brenda is asking if it has transparency so you can see the map below.
Yeah, it does. Here is our transparency options. And we can see some transparency difference there. Maybe make it a little bit more transparent. Yeah. Okay. Great. Any other questions about the draw widget? Cool. All right. Next, we'll take a quick look at the measurement widget. This one is very simple. This is just to help if you just need to know a distance between one thing and another thing. You can also do areas with this measurement widget as well. This is just a little, it's less functionality as the draw widget. It's just more to the point. So if you're not looking to do a bunch of markup and you just want some straight up information about some measurements, this is the tool you'd want to use. You can change the units for lines, for distances. You can change the units for areas as well. And then you can remove those whenever you're done with those as well. All right, moving on to the select widget here. Select widget allows us to select items in a certain area, and it will look through all of the available layers that are selectable and let us know if anything intersects that area that we chose to run a selection on. So an example, get a little bit closer over here. Okay. There's different ways you can run the selection. You can do it by rectangle, circle, line, point. We'll just do a rectangle here. You enable the tool for selection. So we could see it looked through all of these layers that are checked on right now and gave us some results. Like we can see that there are 2 study area boundaries that intersect that selection area that we drew in there. And we've got some different options. Whenever we've got items selected, we can, if the layer allows for it from the public source, we could export just that selected feature from the NHD plus flow lines to various data formats. We can add markers to that particular spot. If we can look at the pop-ups, there's lots of options for working with the selected features in an area that you choose. I'd say probably the most powerful though is the export option for exporting just selected features that are in a specific area. We can go over any more of these in detail if you'd like, but I'm gonna move on for the sake of time here. We can clear all of our selections there. Talked about the print widget a little bit a few minutes ago. Print widget allows us to print the current map extent to PDF. We've got some different options for the size, and then we can change the title for it. The advanced options give us some good options here too, such as including a legend, including a north arrow, changing the scale bar units. And then you can print this, and when it's ready, it'll show in the results. I already did this. Oh, I'll just take a look at this. I'll come back to this later, and we'll see if this gives us what we're looking for. If not, we'll troubleshoot and figure out what's going on with that. Good question, Brenda. I don't believe it does. I'll double check that and let you know, but I don't think it does. We're not using any custom print templates, and I think that this isn't a part of the credit usage. If it was custom, then it would. All right, we move on from the print widget. Base map gallery. Here we can change our underlying base map, just some different options. If you want something simpler, you can change to light gray canvas, for instance, or maybe you need some imagery. But the default is the topographic. Next up is another customization for this application specifically, and that is our download study data widget. With this widget, you're able to scroll through all the available study data in the application, and you can select whatever layers or studies you were interested in downloading information for. You select your different formats that you need. So if you select data that is in vector only, you have to let this widget know, what format you would like that in, file geodatabase or shapefile. And then for the raster format, if the data you selected is in that type of a format, you select AirDOS, Imagine as the format, or TIFF. Once you do that, you click the generate downloads button, and it's going to give you links to download an item for every item that, or sorry, a card for every item that you selected to download, and then a link for each of those to click it, and it'll download to your machine. Then you can unzip that folder and review that data in whatever software you choose. I want to note real quick that every study has data bundled together for it. So for most of this data, I should say. So all study area boundaries, this is this overlaid polygons that we see here that show us all of our areas. That's just a vector data set. That's one that we created to go along with the application. However, for the majority of the studies, they're going to include raster data, and if the study has an associated final report with it, that will download with that study in that study's zip file whenever you go to download it to your machine. So you don't have to go through and pick out final reports you want to download or anything like that. You just have to decide which study area you're interested in and the form to the data that you would like. Any questions on the download data widget or feedback?
I noticed Brenda had a couple comments. Brenda, did you want to speak to those?
She answered them.
Oh, okay.
I think you're gonna check to make sure that it doesn't take credits, right, for printing. Because I know in the web viewer that we have, if we were gonna do printing, I think it uses Survey 123, so that maybe that's why. But
yes,
it does take credits. And there was like a draft. If you did it in draft and you printed it, it doesn't take credits. So that's all I was asking, just so people.
Yeah, great question. Yes, and I think the workflow you're talking about would utilize the report functionality in Survey 123, and that certainly uses credits.
Okay.
And I do know that using a customized print template also uses credits. And we're not using a customized one, and we're not using that report function either. So I believe it's not using credits, but I'll double check just for peace of mind, and I'll let you all know.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And then I guess I'd ask the same thing about downloads. Do they use credits?
No, not at all. Yeah,
Okay.
the downloads are operating not entirely outside of the ArcGIS Online realm, but the data is hosted in Amazon, not workspaces.
Perfect.
It's
Web
hosted in AWS.
services.
Yeah. Thanks, Ali. I saw you came off mute. Yep, but yeah, no credits to worry about for the data download. Okay, one more widget real quick, and then I'm going to go over a scenario and then open it up for questions, feedback in general. So, okay, and then just real quick, our about widget that I mentioned before. This is where you can get to the user guide. The link is here. Also, the county staff contact links are here as well. There's information on the study area data layers, some metadata descriptions for some of the layers here. This really only goes into detail for the study area data. Any reference data that it's not expected, but the reference data, you can get to its metadata by going to the map layer like we had looked at, and you can go to the details for that item. Again, they're publicly available. We're consuming them, so we really don't have authority over the layers. Sometimes they change certain things too, so it just is. This is the easier way to dig into the individual reference layers anyway. Okay, so we've gone over the map functionality. We've gone over all the widgets. Now I'm going to go over a scenario real quick, which I think we kind of maybe touched on part of this. Okay, so we're going to go back to our search widget here. So here's the scenario. A developer is building in an area or a subdivision, and they want to see if a study was completed in that area of interest. They want to download the data, and if their plan fits with the model, they want to know if they can move ahead with their plan or if they have to make adjustments. So what we'll do is we're going to look for a certain parcel. We're going to use our search tool up here, put in an APN. We're going to click that one. It's going to zoom to that particular parcel for us. Great. Now we can see here, that there's a study area boundary line here. But what's really going to help us is to open our select study widget, and can actually zoom out a little bit too. We've got our parcel selected, so we're able to see everything in context. So we can see here, okay, our parcel intersects a little bit with Johnson Lane ADMP. Okay, great. So we're going to open a select study widget. We're going to add in the Johnson Lane ADMP. Maybe just take a quick look at the layers. Maybe get an idea of what's going on with the study. Does it actually intersect that, fully that parcel? We can see here the study only intersects part of the parcel. And from here, we took a look. Now we know, okay, we need this data. Let's go to our download data widget and let's grab the Johnson Lane ADMP data. We're going to select a format. We want it in TIFF. Generate our downloads. We'll download this. And then once we download that, we'll be able to unzip it and review it in our selected software and, confirm if these results align with our plans for this property. And I think that's everything I have. I hope that scenario was a little bit helpful. There are a couple other scenarios available in the user guide, so you can check those out. Oh, good point, Polly. The layers that are linked in the table of contents from other sources, they're automatically updated as they change. Yeah, and that's an important note for the publicly available layers. It's good to consume them in the way that we are consuming them, because as they make their own updates, that just automatically reflects in our data. So it's not a copy, it's dynamic, it's live, it's connected to their live data sources. Yeah, so we're up to date in that way with any of those public layers.